man. The invisible man. Oh, the invisible man.
Well, hello everyone. Thanks so much for joining us on this episode of The Invisible Man. We have the wonderful Luce back. We also have Kyle Hauser, the two key members of Load. And for those of you who don't recall, they are, I think, the first band from Manitoba to ever be invited to the Showcase South by Southwest Festival in Austin, Texas.
It's true.
Dad, Luce says so it must be.
Listen to Luce.
I'd say the recipient of the Prairie Music Week Awards. And
Yeah, that's a long time ago. You're like reaching into the vault there.
well, yeah, because you didn't answer the questionnaire, Luce. So I had to go looking. Right, here we go. So, of course, Kyle then will be joining us too. Let's go over.
Well, we should
Phil
probably do
is
our quick
introduce
introductions,
Phil
right?
as well. So introductions. We should have done the introductions first.
Yeah.
Go for
All
it.
right.
Hey everybody,
So,
how's it going?
Wait a
Well-
sec, Phil.
well, hold on just a second. Well, according
Hold
to stage, your left, our right. No, your
Left.
right, my left. We have the wonderful and magical Phil Dupuis joining us all the way from Colorado.
Hey,
the
Phil.
Colorado Phil Show.
Hey, hola.
Great to
¿Cómo
see you.
estás?
Hey, muy bien,
Hola,
muy
Phil,
bien.
¿cómo estás?
Man, oh
Bonjour,
man,
Phil.
alive. I'm working on sending you guys more snow.
Well, we've got enough. We'll get enough.
Hi, Kyle.
So
Hi,
anyways-
Mark. Hi, Ryan.
This one's
Hi,
Mark.
Phil.
This one's Ryan. That one's Phil. Who just came on there is Kyle. And then we have Luce, who has joined us. Very informal today, but that's all good. That's how we roll here on the
I
Indivisible
jumped the
Man
gun
Show.
with getting everybody on the screen. There we go.
It's all good. Welcome, Kyle. So now
we're
you.
talking Cannabis Castle today, are we?
Yep,
Yep.
we're going to be leading on that.
What was
but-
that?
Yeah, we're going to start with just getting to know Kyle just a little bit because he's new to our audience.
Well,
then
on that
we'll-
note, I'm going to go down to the garage and do what I do, and I'll be back in a little while. I'll be listening though.
Okay,
Alrighty.
sounds good, Phil.
See you in a few, buddy.
And in case anyone's wondering, he's going down to work on an automobile.
Yes, that's right, because that's what you do in the garage. Before we get started with getting to know Kyle, we're going to welcome to the show Shalim. Shalim, a good friend of ours, actually has been a longtime fan of ours
Yeah.
for forever. Probably since
the first time, I think, since one of the first shows.
yeah, easily. So Shalim would probably correct us if we're wrong. Janet Bergen, a good Bergman, a good friend of my wife, and now, of course, a friend of mine, and Riel Gervais. Thank you, everyone, for joining us so far. And anybody else who comes
and
on?
one more, Andrew Sayers, who's also known as Bones, who's a childhood friend back in England. So nice to see you, Bones.
Is he dead, Jim? Sorry, that was a bad lame Star Trek.
What the hell was that? Oh, I see. Yeah.
Now you get it. Now you get it. All right. So with that on the way, we're gonna welcome Kyle to the show. So Kyle,
Hello.
good man, guitarist for Load. I'm assuming that like every other working Manitoba musician, you probably have a couple of projects on the go. Why don't you tell us what else you're involved in and what other kinds of styles of music you go with? Aside from Load.
I come mainly from the metal scene, actually. Sort of a weird setup, and then I ended up in Load. Kind of like the music, it was something different. So we do a yearly thing. I'm part of an Alice Cooper tribute band, so we
Nice.
just did our yearly Halloween show last weekend. Members of that band are also in my other band, Wicked Gift, which is kind of sort of progressive, I call it metal with singing.
That's a good way to put it.
And then I've got like a more hard band that's called Hamfist,
Mm-hmm.
and I play bass in all of those.
Oh.
I even started in Load
Woohoo!
on bass.
Bass players of the world unite.
Yeah,
Yeah, you guys need to.
We're already listen. Bass players we just know we're the underpin of the band. We just like, yo, bass bro, what's up? And then it's like we're right in there. We're like this, thick as thieves.
Well,
You
I like
just
having him
chill in the
around.
back, and you make the song go, and nobody gives you credit for it.
It's all good. It's all good, man.
You know, the bass player is pure love in Load. We love the bass player, actually.
Mhm.
And that's
Indeed.
how you started. You started.
That's why you
with
promoted
And-
him to guitarist.
Well,
were you promoted or demoted? Tell me. What do you think now after doing both?
I don't know. I still do both half the time.
You do. You meld them together.
well, I think Ryan will agree with me that It's All in the Mind's guitarist and bass player are amazing.
Yes. I would particularly say that I would say that the guitar player has pushed me and made me grow.
Aw, I'm happy to hear that.
So
But
Kyle, you play.
I was saying that like Kyle has a really great ability because he plays bass and guitar like fluently. When we do acoustic stuff and things are stripped down and it's just him and I, he fills these gaps by doing both on an acoustic guitar, or when we're writing music. He's so wonderful because he's one person, but he's thinking almost in two minds, and so we can always get a lot accomplished because he's kind of ambidextrous between the 4 and the 6 string. I love that. I really do.
Nice.
Or if he's playing in the metal band, just the 6 string, right there, bro?
I do play a 5-string bass.
5-string bass.
You have
Nice.
those low notes.
Yeah, it's all about that low B, man.
So I learned something about you on was it Wednesday that you play another instrument as well.
Oh yeah.
So tell us about that
I
then.
started at a very young age on piano. My parents put me through piano lessons, and it was years and years. I'm like, I want to play guitar. I want to play guitar. They're like, no, another year of piano. I think they did that for like 4 years straight. And then I never touched the piano again until I was an adult.
Oh, yeah.
After I
But
got my
the
guitar
great
lessons.
like
Nice.
thing they did for you though. Like every once in a while, I wish I would have like forced my children to do something.
Piano lessons are
Something.
Piano
Anything, you
lessons are
know.
key for musicians.
Maybe
Now-
move out of that.
Now, let me ask you
you
something, Kyle. I got a question for you because I come from, I didn't take years and years of piano, but I started learning on piano and never got really particularly great at it. So
Neither did I.
it's okay. It's all good. Then obviously, you know, I at one point I had moved to Hawaii, and whenever you move to Hawaii, you have to learn how to play guitar. That's important. But I had been a bass player since I'd been about 13 years old. Would you think that that sort of underpinning of piano, where you're learning both melodic and bass parts, you're learning kind of like the whole composition? Do you think that sort of set the underpinning for your musicianship?
Oh yeah, I believe that. I played with people who took piano lessons as like children, never touched an instrument, and then picked it up in their mid-20s. Picked up one of my first bands, the bass player in it. He had taken piano lessons, and when I joined the band, he had only been playing for about 3 months, and he's one of the best bass players I have ever played with. He just had a great mind for it. He had a great, and you get that from piano.
You just
get the whole
transposed it to
shebang.
the other instruments,
Yeah.
right? Like
You get that
Yeah, because you have to
musical
learn
underpinning,
everything.
right?
You have to learn melody, rhythm, bass,
Harmony.
You have to learn
Yeah.
how the music works. You have to learn theory. So once you get like just a little bit of a sort of jack of all trades from that,
Yeah.
then you can translate that to anything. Like I can myself, not to brag, I can pretty much pick up any instrument without ever having played it. Figure out how it works and not be virtuoso on it, but I can give you a tune.
Yeah, I hear you. I understand totally, but I don't know why you guys were laughing, but I was laughing because the things that nobody gets to see off stage. We were teasing you relentlessly about how much you said you don't like to brag, and here you are bragging, my friend. So it's all good. I don't know if that's why you guys are laughing, but that's why I was laughing. Welcome to the show, Kyle. It's because we love you.
About myself, I don't like to brag.
There you go. Right on. Before we get rolling to the next question, we got a couple other people we're going to say hi to. Sherry Cairns.
Yeah,
Hello,
baby.
Sherry. Beth Williams. Also, Lawrence and Kelly Fernandez, my sister and brother-in-law. And also Jessica Reeve, my lovely and wonderful wife, have joined us here. Hello, all. Welcome to the show.
And he gets to name the relationship. So Sherry Cairns is my lovely wife. Okay, there we go. Okay.
There you go.
you
Well, you
see
better said
Angela
that.
there yet? Joining us, I don't see. Yeah, I didn't hear you say her yet.
Who's that, sorry?
No, Angela.
Where are you?
No Angela there yet.
We haven't seen anyone, Angela, there.
All right, I'm making.
We'll
a
keep
note.
our eyes out and we'll call Angela and say hello to Angela if she comes on. That's
It's
for
possible
sure.
we may not see if we're not friends on Facebook or she doesn't post on the Facebook public stream.
Yeah.
Then we might
Oh,
not
maybe
see,
she's
right?
watching without being on the stream.
Oh no, but not being friends of ours, she might not. She might not
Yeah.
be public. Anyhow,
And if she doesn't follow, it's all on the mind on Facebook, which you all should be, by the
She
way.
hears us talking about it.
Yeah.
she'll know.
So follow us all. It's all in the mind on Facebook, and you can come and be live and throw in your comments, by all means, thank you, Beth, for the very cool stream comment. We love that. By all means, throw in your comments. If you do have questions for Luce or for Luce, Phil, Mark, myself, or even Kyle.
Not even Kyle. Put Kyle first. He's
Yeah,
the
it's okay.
guest.
So Kyle,
He's the guest,
Kyle's
so he
our
goes
primary.
first, all right.
If you have questions for Kyle, like what guitar is your favorite,
Oh, yeah, okay.
what guitar is your favorite, then
Ask Kyle what band's his favorite. That's what interested minds want to know.
Oh,
Okay.
jeez.
There you go, Kyle. What's the answer?
Oh, there's a lot. Load.
Good answer.
And, other than Load and It's All in the Mind, who are your favorite bands?
Pitmaster.
I mean, I grew up on classic rock, so it's like Led Zeppelin was the band that first turned me on to music. Led Zeppelin and the Beatles.
Yeah,
oh, there
hey.
you go. Represent
I'm
both
biased.
sides.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
I like Led Zeppelin too.
Yeah.
Come
Yeah, but you are a Beatles fan, right? You might
Yeah,
enjoy
yeah,
Led Zeppelin, but you are a Beatles fan.
This is true. This is true.
Oh, so am I.
Yeah.
That's okay.
That's what I said. Very Geithner. That's true. They love the Beatles. Yeah. yeah.
Kyle can break into any Beatles song at any moment, and he can lace a little Led Zeppelin right into it as well,
Ooh,
and do a
nice.
beautiful medley. I can attest.
Then we need to get together and make some music, Kyle.
Indeed.
Definitely.
Yeah, we
Maybe at the castle.
Well, we take a couple of the more complex Beatles songs, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds and Strawberry Fields. We do.
Yep.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
The
Well,
psychedelic
Lucy in the
stuff.
Sky
Yeah,
with Diamonds.
and
happens
I've got a
to
little
be one
detuner I
of
put
my
on as well.
favorites.
So
Yeah, I've got I got a reverse pedal that I'll play my bass so I can make it sound all eerie and string like. So right on.
yeah, yes, there we go.
Yeah, I've got an octave pedal that I use for a similar effect. I can make the bass sound like a church organ, or
Nice.
or
Yeah.
even in the Alice Cooper band, I made it sound like a what's I don't remember the name of the instrument. It's like a xylophone, but it's a really high pitched one.
Is that like a marimba or something like that, or
It's something like that, but like really high, like the
Okay.
little kid xylophone. That's
that little like glockenspiel or something like
Oh,
that?
the great Fisher Price.
Yeah, the little Fisher Price.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But there's a song that uses that, and I was using that on my bass to get the ding, ding, ding.
Nice.
Nice
We
noise.
had a xylophone stolen from our rehearsal place a long time ago, and I know that the people who did it are suffering greatly. Without me needing to see it even. I just
Yes.
know, like, when you take someone's xylophone,
Yeah,
oh,
there's something wrong with that.
Never.
That's how they were stealing someone's gloves.
It's like the devil.
But of all the things you got, like amps and guitars lying around, steal that xylophone. I need that.
Well,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
that was really disappointing. I'm not over it yet, apparently. You can see I harbor.
No, we hadn't noticed.
Resentment.
We hadn't noticed. So Kyle,
So that I could let it go. But it was
Luke
10
Perry
years ago that
Karma
that xylophone was stolen, and I have not forgotten it. And a studded belt once that I really adored. Just saying, you'll get yours.
indeed. So, Kyle, how the bleeping did you get involved with Loose? How did that start?
Well, I was contacted to join another band on recommendation of one of my friends. Somebody's like, "Oh, I know a bass player," so I went and joined this band 7 days with a good friend of ours, Luke Bell.
Okay.
And
Very good friend.
Luke happened to be doing some stuff, so working with Load at the moment for the Juno, some Juno show for the Junos, the Randy Bachman tribute. And one of the guys in Load, he bailed. So they're like, "Hey, do you want to do it?" I said, "Yeah." And then all of a sudden I was working with Carrie without them. So
Oh, wow. Okay.
it's
That's how it
and
happens.
and you've and have you regretted any of that decision?
no, not at all.
No,
That's
she's-
the right
No,
decision
there's
when
no-
she can
no
respond.
regrets for either.
yeah, she's listening, so be careful.
No, you know, I could even answer that for Kyle, because Kyle and I have got a really good thing.
Well, and it's taken me halfway around North America too. So
Yeah, we've
Right
tried
on.
traveling together, and our families have become close, and we have a lot of fun on stage, and we're writing music together, and we have like many endeavors. We're starting on a little television thing that is a takeoff on a little bit of our lives, little bit, and like a little bit of our influences over the years we've been around. We have some fun things that we do.
Okay, Now, apparently, there is a fun thing coming up right away. You've been working on for a while. Do you want to tell us about that project?
Oh, we have a little show coming up called Cannabis Castle, and Load, our band, is like the house band for it, and it is actually shot in a castle, and in the castle that we have it's kind of the recording studio where Load lives, and it's also a medicinal plant apothecary called Ambrosia. And Ambrosia, for almost 30 years, has been a leader and a specialist in medicinal plants. And with the addition in this last year of cannabis being legal and being an extract that we work with, we've been able to reach out and help a lot of people educationally wise to make good choices about strains, about quality, about organic, about many different things. And we have good connections with producers locally and throughout the country that do different kinds of extraction and growing. So we are inviting these people to the castle to come and talk about these things so that the general consumer can start getting an idea of what to expect and what to look for in their own unique situations, whether it be medicinal or whether it be recreational. Whether you're taking it through inhalation or whether you're ingesting it, whether you're using it topically. There's many different ways to work with medicinal plants, cannabis just being one of them. So our experts at Ambrosia are going to kind of go head to head with the experts in production locally. We're going to talk about the issues. We are also inviting some top chefs from the city to create some beautiful cannabis infused meals that some musicians in the city are going to come and try out and talk about, and we are going to collectively play some music, preferably Canadian homegrown music, and we'll see what happens here in the castle as all those things kind of unfold under one roof. It's going to be fun. Cannabis Castle.
Here we go.
Should be good.
And we got
That's like a tongue twister. It's alliteration.
here we go. A little teaser that was released a little while ago. Let's see if I can find this quickly. Here we go. And here we go.
I've got it good. I've got it good. I've got it. I've got it. I've got it good. Wishing you, baby.
That still makes me laugh. All right.
We hate.
There we
Oh,
go.
Mark, I love the way the sides of the theater and the castle came together.
Yes, it was
I
good.
get to see little new things about it all the time.
Indeed. It was
Mark,
good.
Mark,
Hey,
you
if you-
didn't really mention that you did the animation for that. And
Yes,
I
I
was so
did.
proud to work with you.
Indeed.
Yeah.
That's,
Mark does all our production animation actually, and I've actually over the last couple of years, and just it's been great to see him really explore that talent. And Mark and I share so much in common, both having gone to art school and whatnot. But Mark really takes the bull by the horns.
I was going to say, Brian, and you really didn't have to
Well,
do it.
No, he's there. So
I take something by the horns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we'll leave.
Video for
Hey, remember
Let's lose
this
this.
is a kids show. Anyways, that really awesome tune in the background there, provided by our own good friends in Load. It's check it out on
Load.
this album right here, released this summer, Loose Overload. That one was track number 3, Worship. I got it good. My favorite song out of the entire album. That is my absolute ultimate.
Oh,
There's
that's
so many
cute.
good
You know,
ones,
it's catchy.
but that is my favorite one. Basically, as
We do got it good. We got it good here.
Yeah,
Especially
and-
in Canada, you know.
we had promoted this. Actually, was it shortly after this was released? You were on our show and we were promoting the order, or was it just about to be released? I think it was around then. I think right.
It was right before,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was
Right.
in June, I think.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
right before. Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
a week or two before.
Yeah.
Oh, no, just after. A week or two after, actually, I think.
Yeah, it
Just
was
after.
right after. So we are going to do a big promo for it.
Yeah.
I've had this on my a lot of these songs on my repeat Google playlist because I didn't have a physical copy. I now have a physical copy, but I did pay for it. I did actually buy the album on Google Play.
Wow,
So
thank you.
yeah,
Thank
Uh,
you, you know.
yeah. So there we go.
Fans appreciate that. We really do. We try hard.
Absolutely.
Appreciate that.
So
So okay, where did the you've had the I know I understand you've had the idea for Cannabis Cast for a while. Was there something specific area where it came from? Where that
You
idea-
know, for almost 30 years, we have taught medicinal plants across Canada, United States, Mexico, and in Europe. We hold retreats. We teach people from medical practitioners to stay-at-home moms and everybody in between. People come to us to understand how they can help themselves naturally, how they can have alternatives and utilize things that aren't harmful for themselves, and that they can be used in many ways. You know, the beautiful thing about an essential oil, any kind of medicinal plant extract, is that it's good for you. It's good for your immune system. It's good for your mind. It's good for alleviating depression and anxieties. Anytime you use an essential oil or take an herb, you create a good effect in the body. And if something ever happens that, you know, there are contraindications. Sometimes things aren't balanced for every single person. The worst thing that happens is you stop taking it and it rebalances itself and you try something else. There's not horrible suffering repercussions. So I work within a field that's kind of magical. There's a side to this that is pure chemistry that in Europe and in France where we're trained, you have to be a medical doctor. This is a big part of the medical system. Here in Canada, we don't necessarily, we call it alternative, it's not pharmaceutical, but the utilization of medicinal plants in your daily life creates an amazing forecast of health and happiness. You know, it's a vicious circle of feeling good and looking good. So I'm all for that, you know, and that's what Ambrosia has stood for. And so the inclusion of cannabis in the last, like I say, a few years in particular, it's been a great thing. Not one medicinal plant can do everything. That's why there's 300 to choose from, and different types of chemotypes and soil conditions and places where it grows in the world and sun conditions. Like all these different things create a magical synergy to help humans. And so when you understand that, you understand the chemistry of it, then you can't help but understand the magic of it and how the two things go together. And then there's a spirit that's involved in that, a soul, and an art of blending. There's so many things that come together, and which I could say right now is identical to writing a song or being in music. So it's also identical to being a great chef and creating combinations of food and putting ingredients together that come out with a delicious taste, right? So a bouquet of flowers, a great meal, a beautiful song, they're all the same. That's Cannabis Castle, that's Ambrosia Apothecary, and that's my life for the last 30 years. So I hope people will enjoy that, and I think that people will be very educated in a way that's entertaining too. I think of Cannabis Castle like one part Friendly Giant, one part Hilarious House of Frightenstein, and one part Laugh-In. If I could, like, you know, draw upon those kinds
So
of
Frightenstein. Wow.
yeah. You know what? Castle is so that, I mean, we almost have a sloth under the stairs. Okay, seriously. Everything about
Wait,
that
Kyle,
show
can you
is
corroborate that
castle
of what's
my
under the
life.
stairs there? Can you
Well,
corroborate?
it's more the dragon, really.
And I was even thinking of the Dr. Pet Vet thing on the Hilarious House of Frightenstein, because we have like 14 cats that we have to find homes for. And so we're going to just start
Lots of
putting them up
cats.
there, like Dr. Pet Vet from Hilarious House of Frightenstein, try and get them adopted out. Oh my God.
Yeah.
This house is like, actually, if you watched every segment of Hilarious House of Frightenstein, this house has that in every corner. The
That's
castle
why you
is-
bought it, right? That's why you bought it, because the Frightenstein.
You know,
Why did it
I
become
bought
mine?
this house for many reasons, and that was probably not on my mind, but it was the truth. Oh, look at those legs. And there's a really good friend of mine in that picture. That picture was so accidental. I think it's probably my favorite picture in the whole world, except for one picture of Kyle and I that I think is my favorite picture in the world. But it was just captured. The camera just happened to go off when we were laughing, and it just caught a great moment on the beach.
Okay, so it looks like you're a stream. Oh, there we go. You're back. Looks like your Wi-Fi is a little hiccupy, I guess. But nice picture.
sorry about that.
We got,
Wi-Fi.
yeah, we got a couple of minutes out of a story out of it. So that was good. So why did you wait until now to kick off Cannabis Castle?
Well, you have to meet the right people. You have to have the right, family to do something like this. And there's, we were releasing an album too. And I don't know, let's just look at the three of us for a moment, because Ryan and Phil aren't with us. But we have families. We love music. We have this podcast. We release an album. We have other bands. We have day jobs, right? Like, how much can you do, and then how much can you pay for it? There's many aspects
Right.
to why. And also certain things about edibles are about to become legal, and so like there's it's a good timing. I think the timing is very good. Not that people haven't lived a life of understanding medical and recreational marijuana in Canada for decades now. I
Right.
mean, I think it's the biggest commerce in British Columbia, for like 6 years running now. It's just time to be able to talk about these things. And also, it's not about glorifying anything. But medicinal plants should be glorified. They should be allowed to be used. I personally believe in medicinal plants. I think all marijuana crops and all poppy crops should be legal and available to people. And I don't think we wouldn't have a drug problem in the world
Yeah, that's
if people were allowed to take control of their own things. And let me tell you, it is not easy to grow weed. It is not easy to grow poppies for that kind of consumption. So when somebody wants to do it, it's dedication. Those people like really know what they're doing and try hard, because it's like breeding anything. You have a bad year, all your kittens die or all your crops die. Like, it is not easy. Those people deserve so much praise. And honestly, if we just had people able to grow their own plants and extract and bring in medicinal plants from all over the world, oh, what a world we would live in. And we wouldn't have a cartel and a drug problem. We'd have human trafficking. That would be it. We would be able to focus on that.
Yeah, definitely. I guess we're looking at another podcast there where we would probably talk about the criminal nature of making natural things illegal.
There's no cartel hand in weed in Canada.
Yep.
Now, I'm not saying there's not gangs involved in the moving of it, but not so much anymore. Not like it used to be. Like, making things legal does make things a lot easier,
Yep.
and a lot less hands touch it. And that's important.
Yeah.
And people should be able to have their own hands on it. You don't need anybody else.
Safer as well.
What?
Safer as well for everyone involved.
Everyone. It absolutely is. Like, this whole dynamic of especially like the last 60 years, it's just been like tragic to people.
Yeah.
It hasn't helped anybody. It hasn't kept anything off the street. If anything, it's made things worse, and a lot more people died.
Yeah. I guess
That's the machine that it created, the illusion that they're helping. And and that, not to get political, but that's a very conservative and Republican way, to try and create a need for something that's not a need, and police it and tax it and create a situation where people are out of control.
Well, okay, so I mean that could be a good topic for Two Men Fixing the World.
.ca.
.ca,
Next.
I think we're just fixing the world.ca is where we are. We're still flip flopping about the title. We'll come up with a finalist. I think it's Fixing the World, or Two Guys Fixing the World. That's our take on it, which we would love to have. But I don't think that's uniquely a conservative thing. I think that's just a government thing. Let's create a problem and fix it. Everyone's guilty of that. But as I said, that is a different podcast.
Well, it does kind of intersect with what we're talking about.
Yeah,
So
it does.
So the rule on this channel that we have is no religion and politics unless it directly intersects.
That's right.
Well, with the music, but with the topic at hand. So I don't think it would be out of hand.
No.
Out of place for us to talk about it.
And again, I'm just not wanting to get too deep because we like to chase rabbits and kick dogs here, so it's not out of the realm
There'll
of
be
possibility.
no kicking of dogs on
Yeah,
this.
no king dogs.
Okay, all right.
We're
Cats
talking
are another
about
issue.
dead kittens and kicked dogs.
Yes, this is our family-friendly show here. Welcome for joining. Thank you for joining
I
us.
know loud music can get dark sometimes, but jeez.
Oh, here's the voice of reason. Phil is back.
Hey
What?
Phil,
Does everybody
Phil's the voice of reason?
Does everybody get to see that on the show, or is it just me that gets to view his empty chair when he goes for his breaks?
Yeah, just you.
Okay, good.
Or
I
just
wasn't
Going on.
Oh, there
Hey,
he
there
is,
he is.
Phil. Now it's been a while since everybody's seen Phil. Phil's the guy on our left, or on our right, with the long hair. What the hell happened
The
to your hair,
only
man?
one in uniform, by the way.
Yay, nicely done.
Woo!
And I'm,
Hey, check out that really hip shirt there, The Invisible Man. You can buy more merch at theinvisibleman.ca. Please buy merch.
Hey. Hey. All right.
I think I
I'm
might
enjoying
buy
the
some
show.
Christmas gifts there.
That's a good
I like
idea.
that idea.
sounds good.
I do. I like that idea a lot.
So you've been listening while you were fixing the car in the garage there, Phil.
Yes,
I
the car.
was, yeah.
Yeah. So what?
Great show. So when does Cannabis Castle air?
Well, I don't want to go on the record,
Go on the record.
but we start Cannabis Castle on November 16th, so it's about to come up. And you are going to see some live streaming and some excerpts from that date, but it won't be the entire, there are some editing and some things that have to be done. So in its complete form, in a couple weeks, and live streaming, a couple weeks. We'll see.
Cool. Couple weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's, Mark is, actually, I'm not the one to ask that.
So it'll
Mark
be in
is really
November.
So
well,
we're going to be filming. The plan is to start filming on the 16th, and then there's going to be a lot of editing to do, and after that, and so.
on
But
the-
we will be letting some clips sneak out though, because we definitely want to
Nice,
keep the
nice.
buzz.
I could let the people know.
Keep the buzz going. Yes,
On the
that was
16th.
completely unintentional. That was completely unintentional.
I know, that's what was so brilliant about it.
Listen, not only will Load be there, and the Invisible Man,
Woo!
and of course Phil and Spirit, but some of
Woo,
our guest
but live,
musicians are
still
going to
alive.
be Barry G. Player and Rami Mays, just to name two. And so I think not only are we going to have amazing music, right? We're going to have some pretty funny antics. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Yes, that'll be interesting. Hopefully, we can capture it all. So
I think so.
yeah, hope so. That's the plan.
Do we have a choice?
Do we have a choice?
I don't know. Do we have a
capture
choice?
it all.
Yes. Yeah. There
Do
go.
we show it all? I don't know. We definitely capture it.
And this is why we're editing it first, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we decided that not everything gets to be live, but we'll see. We'll see.
That's right. Actually, interesting enough, that's been very informative there. Kyle, what are your thoughts on Cannabis Castle? Obviously, you're going to be a part of it. And Load's going to be there playing music. What's your take? What's your angle on this?
I think it's going to be fun to try some new foods. I'll be honest with you. I am not a regular cannabis user. I used to be, but I'm probably I think. So it's going to be interesting. I haven't partaken in quite a while.
Yeah, and
I didn't think we were
It'll be
going to
nice
let
be
Kyle
jamming
even
with the
have
likes of,
anything.
Can I jump in?
Romy Mays.
I thought Kyle was going to say he was a super cannabis consumer.
We wish. We wish, but Kyle's got enough reality going on that he doesn't need cannabis right now.
Oh, I hear that. Oh shit! I thought I
Dead
was off.
silence.
no,
Da-da-da-da.
no, I'm just reading the next. What's next, Ed?
Kyle,
But
are you going to
I'm-
have some food? Honestly, I didn't anticipate that. So, now I got a whole, maybe we'll give you, 5 milligrams. I have to say some things. I started touching upon responsibility because everything we're talking about, it really stems with responsibility and understanding. And also to remove a stigma of something that's not true. And also understand the parts that are true. I mean, you can get really high. I've seen people on THC that rivals LSD. Okay, like dosage and emotional state of mind. I've literally seen people on cannabis thinking they're losing their minds, and you wouldn't think it's like that. And so people need to understand. I mean, you can, if you want that kind of experience, you can have it, but you can also really under the threshold treat yourself in a way that you actually feel amazing. But you're not wasted, you're not high, you're not like tripping through life or feeling nauseated. You have to be a little bit diligent with medicinal plants to find your sweet spot. And when
Well,
you find your
myself,
sweet
I
spot,
can attest for myself is that I've had both experiences.
yeah.
It's made me feel completely wonderful, and also around the time that I quit, and part of the reason that I stopped imbibing was because I'd have panic attacks.
Yeah. And you know, this is something I think that happens for a lot of people. And that's not to say, oh, like people will say to you, oh, you haven't found your strain then. And like that's true. But it's also not that important. But if you do want to enjoy it like recreationally, like if you do like smoking and you like the taste, you can find a strain that doesn't do that to you. But you have to just be in the right like framework. You have to have the right contacts. You have to have people around you that help you kind of figure that out. And for some people, it's not that important, you know. But if you're sick, and then also to understand the difference between CBD and THC, this is a very big thing. And there's other components to medicinal plants like terpenes and different things that are anti-cancerous and really help very specific ailments in the body. So when you know that, you can actually pattern a program of edibles or smoking, whatever it is that you prefer, or both, that really help you, that really help a person. And some people say, well, I don't want to go through life high, but I've never been on an antidepressant in my life. I've never needed that. I've also broken my neck and my arm and part of my body in a horrible way like 20 years ago. And I don't have any pain issues, and I don't have any weird fucked up issues, excuse my language, but like I use medicinal plants every day, and like I don't know what all these complaints are that people have, so I'm grateful. And that's why I like to share that information. But so you know, you can take anything to an extreme and have a wacky experience, or you can and then you can also like throw the baby out with the bathwater and think that there's nothing good in it. But there's a lot of good in it, and there's a lot of things that are very specific to individuals. And we hope that Cannabis Castle shows that in a humorous way and in a responsible way, because I don't think there's anything wrong with people enjoying life and feeling good. And whether that's having a drink, a glass of wine, 4 glasses of wine, some marijuana, whatever it is, enjoying life in moderation and letting go and just having a good time. We've put a stigma even on that. We put, you know, like people that have to go to 12-step programs or have difficulties with addiction, that's outside of this. You know, that we're not trying to create addictions. We're trying to create safe, great, fun environments that you can be creative and healthy at the same time. Because let your medicine be your food and let your food be your medicine. Done.
Well, speaking to that responsibility and recreational use of various substances, like I can say from my experiences, like I've tried more than a little weed in my time, but every time I was around, like I was always around good people with positive energies, and it was always a good time. So there was never anybody freaking out or like somebody trying to give you a little bit more than you needed, or like, because you're talking about responsibility, you can get yourself into those situations sometimes, especially with like the whole culture is changing now with it being legal.
That's right.
With people, like when it's illegal, then you tend to be around more people who are less than savory characters, shall we say?
There's little
You
sketchier
end up
people,
with the
you know,
peer
you have no
pressure
choice.
to take more than you really should, and you know, that kind of stuff. You end up with like more, say, bad trips and that kind of stuff. And people who don't know how to handle that when somebody's doing that, or maybe even make fun of them, can just make that a way worse of a situation. Whereas if you're around good people in a warm, welcoming environment, then it can make it a lot more of an enjoyable experience, right? More
Well, and you know,
responsibility.
when it comes to a legality thing too, I mean, I don't know, this is maybe a stretch, but if you're going to be punished the same way for smoking a joint or taking some kind of other illicit drug that creates like, you know, 12 hour, like LSD or something like that you have like your 24-hour commitment, okay, as opposed to like smoking a joint, like I don't know. Why would you want to take a chance on smoking a joint when you could have, you're taking the same risk with the same jail time, with the same punishment. You want to take more bang for your buck. So then I just think that it just, again, breeds that people are going to take worse chances because the
You say hi?
punishment is the same. It's like
Oh
if
my
I
God,
do
we have a dog.
hopscotch or I jump off
There's two
buildings,
here.
It's going to cost me
And
the
then
same
not
issue.
me and Mark.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Luce.
Say that again.
I said, "Oh my God, we have a dog."
And I said we have two, but it's not me and Mark.
Oh, that's funny.
Well, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head because when you think about the ideas
my
of
God.
legalities and the legalities of everything and wanting to be in a safe environment, I mean, you're absolutely right. How do you manage things like that? Because it's like if you're gonna smoke cannabis or weed or whatever you want to call it, and it totally reacts differently to the body and how it's when it's vaporized versus smoked versus eaten, right? It's absorbed differently, and
Yeah,
you can
all
hit
different.
dangerous levels on all that consumption, and having that information out there so that you as an adult can make informed decisions. That's great. We already know that if you drink a lot of alcohol, you're going to get sick and you're going to make poor decisions.
Yeah.
And you're going to pay for it the next day.
You can't drive. You're gonna
Right.
feel shitty the next day.
Right. But yet all that stuff still, overconsumption is still a problem, right? So understanding how you can sort of tailor that to medicinal plants, particularly in this case, we're talking about cannabis, is a much better, is a really good resource, right? And understanding that, yeah, you're right. I haven't
what's
found the right
interesting?
strain. Yeah, okay, but how much is in this? Do I want to relax? Do I want to be high? Do I want to be all those different things, right?
Yeah.
So
What is the effect? But and then also just to touch upon alcohol for a little, maybe like alcohol, like devil's water. It really messes with a lot of people. But if you actually viewed your alcohol like your food and your medicinal plants, and you understood where the plants were grown that created that wine or that vodka or that gin or that rum, whatever those spirits are, that whatever that wine is, if you made your choices about those ingredients the same way you did about your health, you could drink wine every day. You could drink wine every day, and you're not an alcoholic, and you don't have issues of pollutants into the body, and you don't have an issue with addiction. You are adding medicinal plants and distillations into your livelihood and into your daily life that are actually helpful and actually help the herbs and food that you take digest. So if you understand some of that, you can live a beautiful, full, robust life from the earth. And that is the best medicine ever. And like I said, I've not been on antidepressant or things myself, but I've certainly heard and interviewed and listened to people discuss how they feel on those types of prescriptions. And smoking marijuana or being even a drink or two in my system has never made me feel like that. So I think that we've gotten so far away from like just responsibility and enjoyment in life. We put everything like to the extreme. The pendulum is like you're an addict or you don't do anything. It's like, or you abstain from sex, you have sex all the time. There's no in between. And there's no in between for people anymore. And in this part of my life, I want to have it good, right?
You got it.
Good,
Got
good,
it.
good.
Good.
Aha! Yeah. So
That's right.
So
And, people are brainwashed that they're even addicts when they're just trying to enjoy life.
Well,
Yeah,
I would
okay.
say too, like just to defend a point, because I don't want it to sound like you're slamming the antidepressants and stuff like that. There are people who need that stuff.
Yeah.
There are people.
I
who
understand,
think
but it
that is
doesn't mean that
very
they feel any less
key in their life
intoxicated.
to survive as human beings. But
Yes.
the problem being the same way as it is with drugs, the same way it is with with any like marijuana or alcohol. The overconsumption or people being overprescribed in the case of certain prescription drugs that leads to problems in that regards, or people
And Kyle,
trying to do it when
I'm-
they don't need it. That kind of thing does have problems, but there are those drugs have uses, and they do have
I'm not
positive
saying they
effects on
don't.
them.
I'm saying equally marijuana can treat certain things in people. And so if you are able to go through life with a prescription drug that inhibits you or makes you in a fog, but people are critical to being high on marijuana, there is no question that being high on marijuana is absolutely not worse than being high on a prescription drug that is altering your mood for whatever reason. So we have to just look at those things rationally and say they're the same. And if people are allowed to function on prescription drugs that way, then there should be no stigma to people who are living with marijuana use for that reason. Okay, so like I'm so grateful you brought that up, because I'm not putting a stigma on those medical drugs. I'm saying don't think weed is worse. Like, how dare anybody say it's worse? Everybody has the choice, perhaps, and can make their decision of how they would like to feel better and function better mentally. And if that's either smoking marijuana or taking a prescription drug, people should not have a stigma either way. And no one should say, I don't want to feel high on weed, when they obviously feel altered on prescription drugs. We shouldn't be critical either way. That's what I'm saying.
Well, it's not an either or. You just incorporate it into the same spectrum.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
But right
I would,
now it's an either or.
yeah. And I'd have to attest to that as myself. And part of my journey is, I identify as a recovering alcoholic. I've been sober for a number of years, never ended up having to go to a 12-step program, but did have those sort of aha moments where you kind of pull yourself out of the haze and decide, you know what, this isn't something I can engage in. And for a number of years, and Mark can attest to this, I didn't drink at all. Zero.
Yeah.
I just couldn't, because it was too much of a problem for me. So I had to take it to an extreme where I say, nope, it's not an option. Now, as I've gone through this journey, I've gotten into a better space, both mentally, physically. I have a loving wife who supports me and cares for me. We got a beautiful little daughter. I have good friends like Mark who oftentimes after the show, we'll go over across the way and sit down and have a beer. I feel like I'm supported, and Mark's not gonna let me go get hammered and do stupid things like I used to.
Well, you're also responsible for your own decisions.
Exactly.
That you can, you're not out there for that reason. You're just being sociable.
That's
you're
right.
enjoying the taste. You're incorporating it in a different way. You've done something in your life that's created a change. I didn't drink for 15 years on an herbal program for a whole different reason that people don't drink. I never had a problem drinking. It just wasn't a part of it. But then it became like, I'm not reproducing anymore. I can enjoy a drink during the day. Like, it's a different part of life. And I would hate to be in this part of my life and be always fighting an addiction.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be really hard, and my heart goes out to people who are struggling with those things. But part of it, I think, is that we've also put onto people what an addiction is. If you looked at something in your life, or you did something on your own without steps or other people, you made a choice.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best reason of all. It's like I quit
sometimes you do need to
smoking
take-
cigarettes the same way. Everybody gets to the place in their life where they make a decision that is right for them, and they make decisions based on their own karma. We can't judge why people do things. You can only be grateful that you got there.
Yeah, and sometimes you need to just take a break. Like you
Yeah.
were saying about being an alcoholic. I have a friend who had a very similar situation. He drank, I wouldn't say he was like a hard raging alcoholic, but he drank a lot.
Yeah.
And we were always partying with him. And then he got a DUI and he quit drinking for a year, and he was talking about feeling better. And we were like, oh, do you drink? And no, he'll have the beers. He'll have a few beers with us on a night out, but he doesn't go hard like he used to. And,
Well,
and
yeah,
you just
and
need to
a
take that
drunk
time off
driving charge
and kind
makes
of reset. And now he can casually drink and it doesn't bother him.
Yeah.
Yeah, so people get a chance to mature or figure these things out without maybe being labeled addicts, right? You try things maybe, or you don't have other options, and then you learn other options. That's what Cannabis Castle is hopefully going to show people, that there's many options, and it depends on what you're looking for. and we're not about overdoing it. And then you know what? Every once in a while, like it's a festive, it's a celebration, and you overdo it. So then don't panic. Just like ride it out and enjoy the ride. Like it's just like so people know what to expect. That's the hardest thing too with all the people. Most people don't know what to expect under certain circumstances.
Well, and going back to the weed thing, there's that weird stigma about addiction, and weed isn't addictive. Like it doesn't have a physical addiction. There are some substances that have a chemically addictive properties, like
Coffee.
nicotine or like opioids, that sort of thing.
Caffeine, very much caffeine.
That's a different addiction
Sugar.
For sure, they all
than whatever like people try and pass off as addictions
Sugar?
now
Yeah.
is like bad habits like sex or marijuana or like
in my case, both.
I was gonna say I want a little of both.
Listen, we only have a couple minutes, and one thing we didn't get to touch upon was Cranky Fest that is coming up in Winnipeg, November 8th to 10th, and that Kyle and I are performing on the Sunday, November 10th at 4:30 in the Cranky Theater. So you're putting the link up there. Kyle and I would love to see you come out. We're playing with some other performers, and actually earlier that day on the 10th at 2:45 in what they call the Cranky Factory. I'm going to be giving a medicinal plant talk from 2:45 till 3:30. So on some essential oils and medicinal plants. So if you kind of like what you heard here, you can come check us out on the 10th. Me and Kyle at Cranky Fest.
and I promise that I will be crankier than usual.
Ooh.
This is perfect for Kyle. Perfect.
Okay, and
He's the
actually
crankiest.
there's full information, www.crankyfestival.com. I just checked that out. So go check that out. That's a full schedule on their websites.
I hope somebody
there.
will be doing some live videos of that
Apparently, it's
on
being
Facebook.
filmed. It's being
Oh.
filmed, or like the I think all the performances are being filmed in some form or fashion. So let's keep a good thought, and I'll try and.
There's some really, really interesting stuff going on there. That's not just music. So it's
Yeah, no, it's
definitely
a
worth checking
very
out.
interesting
Right.
community.
Like a variety
festival.
show.
That sounds fun. Somebody should do some Facebook live video of that, and then I can
Okay.
put it on the show page.
Okay.
I find people really dig that stuff.
I'll leave
And
that
we
up
do
to
our
Luke.
best to
He's
connect
the
that.
online.
Before we end, I
No.
want to say about a project that Kyle and Luce are involved with, Canadian Homegrown Musician Showcase.
Yes.
I just checked now, and we're at 505 views on it. So I wanted to mention it. It's not just for independent music artists, but I mean anybody that's involved in their local independent music scene, going to shows, supporting bands with merch or whatever. Very interesting stuff, and it's pinned to the top of my Facebook show page.
Well, that's great. It's a small part of a bigger picture, let's say, of just ideas on how to help your local community, how to support bands, what bands need in more of a global environment that's not as supportive as it was, let's say, 20 years ago.
But I'll just point out that I'm in that showcase twice.
But you don't want to brag.
Not to
Brag.
brag.
No, not bragging.
Not to brag.
He's ever so
Not
humble.
Kyle.
He's ever so humble. He's ever so humble, he is.
Oh, what is I?
Ever so humble. Yeah.
Ever so humble.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah, so have a look at that video. I don't know if comments are open on it. I always promote it and I say to people, comment on it, but do you
Yeah,
happen
sure.
to know, or
Well, at some point, I believe the producer closed comments on his version, but I don't know. I can't comment on that.
well, maybe they'll
Not our
comment
project.
on the show
We're
page
in
oh,
too.
it.
no, I can't. It'll
There's
explode.
a lot of great, yeah.
Well, and just like as an aside, then Load and Barry G. Player from that documentary are going to be featured on the first Cannabis Castle, so you just might be in for a surprise.
Nice. That's
And also
cool.
1/4 of Hamfist.
Yeah, there you
Oh,
go.
yeah.
A quarter of
Yeah.
Hamfest.
Everybody
And
else
the
have
talents
here.
of the beautiful Rami May.
Dave McRae, Jimmy Creasy,
Oh.
Greg Gardner, Lady Lee, and Blue Noise. Hamfist. I asked a lot of these people to send me music for the show, for the Colorado Phil show, by the way.
Well, I can tell you, Hamfist, we just got our mixes, not to promote a different band, but we just got our first mixes from our demo. So
Cool.
I'll be sending that your way shortly.
Cool. I have here Karsten Roche,
Yep.
Bush Stones, and the Lucky, Barry G Player,
I love
man.
them.
Barry G Player, man, oh man. I tagged everybody to that Canadian homegrown thing.
Great.
And hopefully everybody can get involved.
Cool.
Give it a push this weekend. Let's get those views going.
We're
you know?
doing it. We're doing our best.
And the only other thing I want to say for myself is check out my show times, everything like that. Go to www.vwradio.co to the shows tab and click the Colorado Phil Show in the drop down menu.
And if
That
you
saves a
really
lot of
want some
time.
entertainment, subscribe to his Facebook page.
Oh man,
Yeah.
That's a wild ride.
Yes.
there you go. Yeah.
Mr. Meme himself. That's what we'll call him.
Mr. Meme. There we go. And if anyone interested in hearing more about Load, so looseoverload@gmail.com. If you want to say hello to them, get some more information, looseoverload.com. There's lots more information, some links to videos and all kinds of things as well. And of course, you can follow Load on
Thank you
Facebook.
so much.
Follow them, and then there's a SoundCloud
Oh, of
link.
course.
But I'll give you a minute to write that down.
Or you could just go to Google Play and buy your music.
That would be wonderful, and I'll have to get you the link for on Apple Music and such. We've got a better link for you next time.
Sounds good.
Oh,
And-
can I have a copy of? Okay, so I was in the garage. The little video that Mark put together.
Cannabis
For
Cafe?
cannabis, yeah.
Yeah, we'll send you the link.
That
Not a problem, Phil.
yeah, I wanna. Can somebody put it on my page or?
Yeah.
Okay, but I have.
Yeah.
I have put it on your page. I sent to you immediately.
Yeah, so Phil,
Yeah.
pay attention.
Hey, okay.
We'll get it up there one way or another. Don't worry about it.
Thank
Okay.
you, Kyle. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Mark.
Okay.
Thanks for having us.
That was a great show.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So just to everyone else there, because we got to promote ourselves, the invisibleman.ca. You can email us. All the links
Oh,
to the
yeah.
show, past, present, and future, will be on. No, not future. The invisibleman.ca. Oh, there you go. It says Phil showing off his bosoms.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
And of course, we're on YouTube, Facebook, and there's a link to Phil's vwradio.co as well. And you can Phil and I are active, or at least I'm semi-active on Twitter. So check us out. We'd love to hear from you all.
Oh
Yep.
yes,
Nope.
Mark.
Yes.
If you can't catch the Colorado Phil Show live, it's available on 8 podcast platforms.
And actually, so is the invisibleman.ca now. I just
Oh,
I
yes.
forgetting
Yes,
to mention that one.
yes.
So check your favorite
And,
podcasting platform and look for the invisibleman.ca, the Invisible Man Show. Look out for the Colorado Phil Show and Two Guys Fixing the World.
Yes.
There we
At
go.
fixingtheworld.ca.
Okay, so thank you very much, Luce and Kyle, for joining us. It's been a real eye opener and real nice education as well. And of course,
Thanks for having us.
we knew it was going to be bags of fun.
Yeah. Always
we
is.
just knew it was. So thank you very much.
That's loads of fun.
that?
Loads. Yes. There you go.
Kyle,
Loads
Kyle
of fun.
didn't brag. I did all the bragging. So.
Yeah, Kyle didn't brag hardly at all. That's kind of surprising. All right.
Twice by my
Right.
count.
Okay, well, thank you very much once again, and thanks everybody for joining us and for sticking around. Just a quick hello to Mike Isbista, who was checking in about 15, 20 minutes ago. So thanks, Mike, for joining us. And Shalim is ecstatic that Cranky Fest got a mention as well. There you go. So thank you very much, everybody.
Yep.
And we will catch you
Okay.
all in a few weeks. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Oh,